A letter of continued interest is an email that you write to the school to say, hey, I'm super interested in still attending your institution, but you don't necessarily need to send one to every school that either defers or waitlists you, and the requirements for what goes into the email might vary from school to school. So in this video, I want to show you what an awesome example letter looks like. I want to give you some tips in case you're writing your own letter of continued interest. Where do you send the letter? And finally, do these things even matter? Like, do they make a difference in your application? Let's take a look. So here's a great example letter. Dear admission officer, you just put their name in there. My name is, you put your name in, and I'm a hopeful Yalie from Bergen County, New Jersey. Now you don't need to literally say where you're from, but the student did. Though deferred from the early action pool, I remain absolutely convinced that Yale, or insert name of school, is the school for me. I'd like to thank the admissions department for reevaluating my materials. So one of the things I really like is this student goes super clear right at the jump. This is what this letter is about. I'm super convinced that your school is the place for me. So what you're basically saying to the school is, if you accepted me, I would be very likely to accept. And that's something that colleges are really interested in. Next paragraph. This past weekend, I got the opportunity to spend some time in New Haven, this is where Yale is located, for the Yale University Model UN Conference, serving as part of the UN International Strategy for Disaster Reduction Committee and debating rising sea levels and volcanic eruptions. Speaking with current Yale students made me realize more than ever before that I was with my people. Warm, incredibly funny, artistic in their own way, and unabashedly inquisitive. This weekend, I was where I belong. Now, she's essentially affirming her previous point that this is the place where I see myself, but notice the specific qualities that the student is hinting at. Unabashedly inquisitive, artistic, funny. She's basically saying these are values that I connect with and values that I feel like I'll bring to the institution. And she's specifically saying, hey, this is what I got out of my visit, and I went out of my way to go and actually talk with people on campus. So, do you have to visit campus in order to write a great letter of continued interest? Not necessarily. But if you do, it could be great to get into some of the specifics of what you found interesting or meaningful on your visit. Next paragraph. I would also like to take this time to briefly tell the admission department about a few things that have happened since I submitted my early action application. First, I wrote, illustrated, and published a children's book centered around gender inclusivity in STEM fields, with all proceeds going towards this particular project that the student had been working on. I've attached PDF copies of my book. Will they look at the PDF copies? I don't know, but it's not a bad idea to include some supplemental materials or links, along with some other information, but you should be receiving a copy in the mail soon. I very much believe the magic of reading is magnified when the book is in its physical form. In other words, here's why I actually sent you the book. And then she includes some other updates. She says, secondly, I'd like to add the following honors to my admissions file. And she lists 3 different honors that she's won. So check this out. I think this is an important inclusion because oftentimes the way it works is a college has decided about your application. You've either been deferred or waitlisted, and they're looking for new information. So if you've got new information, something that would help maybe tip the scales and go from maybe to oh yeah, let's accept this person, go ahead and include it. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be bullet pointed, just boom, boom, boom. And if you want to see how this student actually wrote this letter, I'll link to it below this video. Next, my whole life, she says, I've worked to draw connections and bridge the gap between science, social justice, and art. Whether wandering through the Yale Art Museum, bringing together feuding nations as part of YMUN, or listening to this particular professor speak about causal learning and the relationship between genetic explanations and psychopathology, notice the wonderful specifics there. I know that no community will help me flourish quite like Yale's would. I know that there is nowhere else I'd rather create the future. So again, lots of specifics particular to the school that lets the reader know, yes, this student has clearly made connections, specifically knows what they're hoping to get out of the school, and is really just generally vibing with the school. Here's the ending. Again, thank you for taking the time to reevaluate my application. Please let me know if there's anything else I can provide. Boom, sign your name, you're out. So here are 5 things this student does well that I think you can do in your letter of continued interest. Number 1, in the first paragraph, thank them, reaffirm your interest, and if it's your number 1 choice, go ahead and say so. Number 2, include new information. Bullet points are totally fine. Number 3, if you have made a campus visit, whether it was in person or virtually, go ahead and include some specifics about what you found awesome or particularly meaningful. Number 4, include, if you can, 2 to 3 why us moments. So these are those moments where she's talking about the particular thing that she got from this particular professor. Specifics are key here, and they're going to show different qualities that you've researched and that you would potentially vibe with on that campus. Finally, thank the reader again and sign off. It doesn't need to be fancy. You basically just need to end the letter. Who should you send your letter to? You should there'll be instructions in the email that you've received, so read that email really carefully, because they'll tell you if they want an email or if there's a particular form that you want to fill out. Make sure you follow the directions. If you're not sure, go ahead and email them. This is what the undergraduate admissions office is for, but make sure that you've done your due diligence and you've tried to find it in your email or somewhere on the website first. They will thank you. So is a letter of continued interest really going to help? Maybe. It depends on how the school uses their deferrals and their wait list. Some cases, there will be a school that's got particular institutional priorities and they're trying to fill a particular, let's say, gap that they don't have. So maybe they've got students who are interested in a particular area and the letter of continued interest was really helpful because that student was like, I'm interested in this particular area. Then the school makes a match and they're like, great. In that case, it could really help. In some cases though, it's gonna matter a little bit less because the school might not even go to their wait list. In other words, they've filled their class and they never had to go to their wait list. So that extra letter maybe didn't matter or didn't matter as much. A great question to ask yourself is, will I regret it if I don't write a letter? Quick side note, if the school says, please do not send us a letter of continued interest, then definitely don't send one. But if you're not sure, again, you can ask them, that's what they're there for. If you want to see the example letter that I walked through and see more tips, you can find that below this video, and you'll find tons more at collegeessayguide.com. Hope you found this video useful. Hit me up with a like or subscribe if so. I'm trying to build the channel and your support would mean the world to me. Much love. See you soon.